Loose Women, the podcast, is brought to you by Mecca Bingo.
Home of bingo besties, where fun and friendship come together, just like best mates.
MeccaBingo.com is the home of legendary bingo. I love being let loose with me dobber.
We all love a win, and the Mecca Prize Promise brings 3 games a day, and everyone who plays is a winner.
Players must be over 18, terms and conditions apply. Go to meccabingo.com for details and please be gamble aware.
This episode of Loose Women, the podcast, contains some adult themes, including baby loss. Coming up on Loose Women, the podcast. And I know this isn't the same for everybody that's had a miscarriage, but when my youngest was born, I was just like, I felt instantly healed.
And she just said, Thelma and Louise style, we should just get in the car and go.
A lot of people have a terrible wedding night. You know,
I mean, as bad as that.
I was pregnant and I'd eaten a whole lemon meringue pie because I couldn't have any champagne.
MeccaBingo.com, sponsors of Loose Women.
Hello and welcome to Loose Women, the podcast. I am Nadia Sawalha and I have the wonderful Myleene Klass here. I'm so glad we're doing this today because it's brilliant being on Loose Women with 4 panellists all together. But I always want to go deeper.
And you and I love a chat, don't we?
I love a
chat.
I love a chat. And I have this theory that if you looked at us on paper, we're opposite almost everything. But we connect and we have right from when we first met.
She's actually my favourite.
Oh! Not that we ever say anything like that. But
no, I do get excited when I see your name on the call sheet. I do get very excited because we have a good old chat, and I love your family. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like in any relationship, isn't it? You can have lots of differences, but if you're sort of like your centre is very similar. I was saying this to my girls the other day. Your moral code, you know, your sense of what's right and wrong is similar, very similar. You can always get on. So I've DM'd you a few times, haven't I, on Instagram when you've been gadding about, as my nan used to say.
I do gad.
And I've said to you, Myleene, it's very lovely that you've gone to 15 different places this weekend. You've held a concert. You've taught all your children how to ice dance. I mean, obviously I'm exaggerating, but you do a lot.
Yeah.
And I was looking at your Instagram with this trip that you recently did to Venice. It's beautiful. But all I was thinking was, we are so different. I would have been laying out on that gondola, eating pizza and drinking wine.
I did do a bit of that. I did do that, and then a bit of the bits as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
I feel like you drive yourself very hard.
Yeah.
Do you think you were born like that? I imagine you came out into the world, you went, right, how many things could I squeeze into today?
Do you know, I've really had to think about this a lot because I feel like the resounding wish on my friend's part is always the same thing, like just take it easy and have a rest. And the more I think about it now, do I know how to do that?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, and I think that, again, I probably need to be a bit more like you and you probably need to be a bit more like me. Sometimes I do just want to just, like, almost auntie you or mum you and just go, just come and sit here.
Do you know, it's funny, I get that a lot. I do get that a lot from, like, grown, nurturing women.
Do you?
Yeah. And how
does it make you feel when women say that to you?
It makes me sad because I think, well, I know you see people. I know that's one of your magic powers. So there's part of me that thinks, God, you must see something. But there's also, I know where it comes from. And I think because...
Where does it come from?
Well, initially it came from having a mum and dad that, because they're both immigrants, and you'll understand this, that when you're from that background, you have to earn your place and... I suppose establish what you're bringing either to the community or to get a foothold on a career path, earn your own money, that independence is an establisher.
Yeah.
And so, you know...
So was that, do you think right from an early age that was printed in?
I know it was.
Ferocious sense of responsibility.
Yeah, I know it was. Because I've had to really think about it. Because I had to now think, well, when you become a mum, what do I want to teach my children?
And I loved on the show the other day, you said, my children are actually my rocket fuel.
Yeah.
I have them in every decade.
Yeah.
And actually they were what drove me forward.
Yeah. They saved me.
Do you ever wonder what you'd been like
I'd
if
probably
you'd
be on like
waited
on a
till you're
gondola.
30? That's why.
Oh my God.
Because I wonder if that's part of it.
100% is. Because when I was a kid, my mum was from the Philippines. She came over. She had to prove herself. You know, if she was a middle child, you don't leave if you're the middle child. There's a hierarchy. She came to be a nurse. And, you know, she had no one here to look after her. So she looked after herself. My dad came from Austria and he joined the Navy. He lied about his age to, you know, I don't know if he was running or escaping or whatever his background was. But he from a very young age had to establish his independence. And so they really do see the freedom and of what money and stability gives you.
And I think, I don't know whether other people agree with this, I think that you can pass that through just genetically into your children, your
Definitely.
experience. And,
Yeah.
you know, as you know, my father was an immigrant, and that I always say they're the most amazing people because they
Yeah.
step away from everything they know, all their comforts, and then bravely
It's
go into
brave.
another.
It's
But you do
brave.
need to be brave.
Well, my
Don't
daughter
you?
said to me the other day, because we were talking about business, and I don't know how it came about, and she said, "You're like a shark," and I was like, "Oh, here we go." And she went, "I think that you have to keep moving, otherwise you'll die."
Yes.
And it's just not what I thought she was going to say.
That's so, I would agree with
Well,
her.
she's right, and it stopped me in my tracks. I just
Because
thought,
I see you as like, you've got all these plates and you're spinning them so fast, and it's like, because on the occasions that I've said to you, have you ever thought of just like slowing down? Do you ever slop on the sofa? I'd like to give you a list of things to do. Slop on the sofa. Da, da. You always say, this thing passes across your eyes, which is like, oh, that's really nice of you to say absolutely no.
But have
It's
you ever
like,
lost
no.
everything? Have you ever lost everything and had to find a way to
No.
claw it all back?
No.
Well, that's
but-
where it comes from now.
Yes.
So maybe initially it was imprinted by my parents.
I see it as like trauma in you.
Yeah,
You were
maybe.
traumatised, and so you are not going to be traumatised again. You're ferociously independent, driven, hardworking, which are all admirable things, but they're also hard. And you know, I say our children know us best, don't they?
Yeah,
they
my
look
daughter-
at us
my
and they
daughter
will
says
just
I'm a shark.
It save you 10 years in therapy. They'll just go,
Yes.
shark, slow
Yes.
down.
Yes.
So,
But I lost everything. So my daughters, they were, and then my son came later, but my daughters were the reason I had to find a way to put it all back together.
Yeah.
So
And you had a warning that you might lose everything, didn't you?
I did have
The
a
night before
warning.
your wedding.
Yes, but just to give you some context,
Yeah.
because the warning came when I was in the bath. I had been with my ex for many years, and then suddenly we were getting married. And I say suddenly because over the matter of weeks, I had Hero, who was months old. She must be like 5 or 6 months old, and Ava, who would have been, 2, and my family really didn't like me having babies out of wedlock. Very, Catholic family, very religious, and I got to the point where it was agreed we could get married if I didn't have any of my friends there. Like, I can't believe that I agreed to that. And here's the maddest bit. It happened in a cathedral because it happened in my hometown, and I was really good friends with the priest when he used to ride a motorbike and do amateur dramatics. So we were really good friends, and he became a priest. So he's like, well, you can get married in a cathedral and it can all be hush-hush. And so I got married. Imagine how lonely and isolating it is to get married in one of the biggest, vastest, buildings.
But you were not to have any of your friends.
I wasn't. No. It had
What
to
was
be
the reason given?
Just didn't want. If we're not gonna make a big deal of it, why does everything have to be a big deal? And I agreed because I just, I didn't even have my best friend there. I rang her before.
I had no
I know
idea.
it was mad. It's mad. When I look back, I think there must have been about 12 people there. When you think that's between 2 people, and 2 of them were my children, so we had the minimum amount. I had no real close friends there whatsoever. So many people on the back end of it were upset and worried, and rightfully so. But one friend who was there, who was watching all of this play out, she knocked on the door, and I was in the bath sobbing because something just didn't feel right. And
This is the night before.
This is the night before,
Yeah.
and she just sat with me in the bath, and I just kept topping it up and crying and topping up the heat, the water, and she just said, Thelma and Louise style, we should just get in the car and go. You don't have to do this. And I just was like, I'm so far gone. And when I hear people say that, they had to do it, because you always think you've got a choice in life, or that the luxury, I think choice is a luxury. I didn't feel I had the choice. I had 2 kids, had all my family who were expecting
And you're the
me.
person that does the right thing.
I do the right thing.
You're responsible.
Yeah.
You don't mess up.
Eldest
Myleene
daughter.
can do...
It's the eldest daughter of an Asian household.
Massively high achiever, hugely talented.
Had daughters out of wedlock.
So how could I
married.
disappoint them further?
I mean, I'd like to think that I wasn't thinking like that, but
Subconsciously,
it's got
maybe.
to be in my body. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the warning was 100% there. The warning was there.
Were you tempted to get out of the bath and jump in the convertible with your friend?
I would have loved to. I knew the girlfriend who was saying it to me. She must have known me for, I don't know, 15 years at the time. Yeah, I knew she was saying the right thing, because after that conversation, I mean, the row, the wedding night row. It's not how you should spend your wedding night.
That's awful. That is like, I mean, listen, a lot of people have a terrible wedding night. You know,
Do
I mean,
you know? As bad as
I
that.
was pregnant and I'd eaten a whole lemon meringue pie because
That's
I couldn't
just
have any
indigestion.
champagne.
That's just nothing that Gaviscon or whatever.
And there was not
got.
going to be any sex, and you know his ex had turned up, and all of that. You know, a lot of. But I think we tend to think of weddings like we put everything into perfection, don't we? But that's that's heartbreaking.
I know, but then if you look at how. Oh my God, this is like a therapy session.
This is the stuff I always want to talk to you more about.
Okay, so in the hearsay days, we go back to hearsay, how this all came about. I've got all the diaries, and when I read them through, and I can see what's happening. At the time, I was 20, 21 years old. I was in and out of court with an ex here or a best friend here. People were selling stories, and I'm talking for big amounts of cash. And if you understand what the maelstrom looked like at the time, then there's my bodyguard. Ah, okay, you're going to look after me. Yes. And it turned out that was a really bad move on my part.
Your bodyguard who you went on to marry.
I did, very briefly, I might add, because I just
totally understandable.
If you
look at it on paper,
yes.
It was quite a smart move, isn't it? I need someone to anchor with
this
time, but it's when you go beyond the time that you need them for.
It's such obvious masculinity, machismo. Looking back at it, it was so obvious that it wasn't right.
But you were so young.
I was so young. We didn't meet on the same plane in many cases. But it just felt like that was the safest move. If this was a game of chess, this was the safest move for me to make, and that person would keep me safe.
You know what's amazing? That you still can trust people.
Right, it's a miracle.
It really, really is, because, you know, some people will just have somebody turn against them maybe once in their life. And
yeah, no,
you know, I do. I talk
lot.
to some women that say, oh, I can never trust anyone again. I was just the other day. And I think that is admirable, very difficult thing to do. So
no, but I say to my daughters, never let another person pay for the crime of someone else's actions.
It's easy to say, but how do you do it? How do you trust people after?
It's hard.
There'll be listeners right now who might be finding it really difficult, and even saying, I think some people wear it almost as a badge of protection, don't they? They'll say, I'm never going to trust anyone again,
because I won't let them take that from me.
Yeah. Because to trust is to love and get love back, isn't it?
That's it. Because what do they say? Love is giving somebody the power to destroy your heart and trusting them not to.
I remember you saying that on the show one day, and I thought,
I must have had a fortune cookie or something. I must have thought, that's profound.
Oh, no, I remember you worrying after the show, because you were like, do you think that was all right? I said, well, I need a bit of time to process.
Because you always are like,
no, but what it is being vulnerable, isn't it? And I say that to my daughters.
Yeah.
I'm sure you say it to yours.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're prepared to potentially be hurt, you won't get the high from it.
There's power in vulnerability, and it's taken a long time for me to understand that, because I'm not somebody that naturally likes to leave themselves vulnerable.
Yeah.
But then all the things that have happened to me, they've been so big that they're just too much to contain. So in releasing that, I think you get so much back.
It's interesting that you just said that, actually, because I think that's a similarity, again, that I hadn't thought of until you just said it. I think that I'm very like that too. There's so many things that have happened that I really do think of myself as, You know when people say, what
It can
doesn't kill
change
you? What
you.
is that annoying saying?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Apparently that's not correct. Because apparently your nervous system gets shot to pieces.
Get shot. But I think there's something in that you get to a point in your life and you can look back and you can go, I survived that.
Yeah.
I survived that.
That's what I'm proud of.
I survived that.
Yeah.
And I'm not thriving all the time, but
No.
in between some of these things, I'm actually thriving. You know, and that's what I try and say to my girls when things feel so awful. I go, you know what?
God,
You're
no.
going to look back on this. You will look back on this.
I think it's more a case of I will always get up. And that's where life is difficult for so many. And I understand it. I do understand that some people there are so many punches that each person can take and some just can't get back up. And it's understandable because some just do floor you. And I have been floored a great many times. But
So are you ever unreliable? What's the most unreliable thing that Myleene does?
I would say that you can, and my friends say it to me, you know, if you're in a jail in Venezuela and you need bail money and you need someone to come and get you and you make one call, I promise you I'll be there.
What would you not do for your husband then?
I don't cook. There's a
Because we can be like that, can't we, outside of our own home?
I'll save your life, but I will not make you an omelette.
Is food interesting? Do you like
love
eating?
food. I'm Filipino.
Well, that's what I was going to say. But you don't like to cook.
I like watching you cook. I watch you cook.
Yeah, but you don't want to do
I
it.
don't want to do it. I don't enjoy the alchemy. When you go, this needs garlic, I'm like, that doesn't come to me at all. I like a science experiment. I know I could cook because I'd follow it to the T, but I don't want to. I don't enjoy it. I like washing up.
Well, right, okay, well, classic. So, still working.
Yes, I like the grind and the graft.
What would you... It's very hard, isn't it, when people ask this, what would you have changed? Because I think everything that we do gets us to where we are, you know, our children, you know, that whole sliding doors thing. But taking out, like, personal stuff, husbands, all of that, is there something that you really wish you'd done differently? Like career, like hearsay sounds very traumatic.
Oh, no, it's great.
But it was also
want it to.
incredible.
Yeah.
So it was sort of similar for me for EastEnders. There was a lot of like trauma involved in EastEnders,
Oh my God,
but also
I was obsessed
I couldn't
with your
do
hair
anything.
in EastEnders. I got a
that's
perm
when I
because
had
of
it
you.
all.
You and Maid Marian made me
That was
perm my
before
hair.
that was before I was putting clips in. God,
Yeah,
you know
it all
what?
comes out in the end.
For so many of the episodes on EastEnders, they would have the back of my head because they said I had the best hair to have a back of their head.
You were the back shot.
When they were fighting for the shot. Is there anything in your like vast career that you would go, do you know what, that actually really did change the course of things for me? I wish I hadn't have done that.
I do
No,
I do wish that I'd not been so trusting. But then in so doing, then it would have made me a different person. I don't want to be like that. I just cancelled out my own wish.
I love it. Is it difficult being a polymath?
I can't regret.
Is it difficult being a polymath? Because I look at you, you know, when I was pregnant, I'm going to tell you something, you know, my husband is extremely clever. He's very like you. He has multiple things that he's really good at. And when I look at people like that, I always think it's a curse. And when I was pregnant, I used to pray that they weren't as clever as Mark. Because I think it looks so exhausting, and to be good at so many things, I think must be really hard. Like, you can play a million instruments. You can, you know, even like tug of war. I nearly died when I did tug of war with you on the show because you were so strong. I went flying up into the air. It's like everything you do, apart from cook, you do it so brilliantly.
No, that's not true. Because there's always someone who's better than you. It's like there is always, and I always say again to my girls, don't get too comfortable, because there's always somebody who wants it more than you or needs it more than you and who'll fight for it more than you.
Oh, I like that. I feel like you're never comfortable. Am I wrong in that? Am I wrong?
I do believe if you're too comfortable, I think if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
My dad says, unless you are terrified at least 3 times a week, what is the point?
Oh, your dad's right.
Yeah.
See, I love that.
I don't like being terrified.
Oh, I love that.
I
like
being in my comfort zone.
No, I like to do things that test me so I can figure out who I am. I don't know why. But I do think it's important. Look, I've got one life, and I don't want to sit there on my deathbed with my 7 minutes. You supposedly get 7 minutes as your brain starts to shut down. I love the science behind things.
As you die.
As you die, your brain, in order just to look after itself, or it knows that you're dying, because dying's part of living, you get 7 minutes. to play out all your memories.
I'm sorry, I just can't believe how Myleene acts.
I want my last 7 minutes
to be really good. I'm going to make it the best of
I'm going to make it something worth watching.
Thanks of that.
7 minutes. It's a long time if you haven't got anything good to watch.
You're worried about being bored. In the last 7 minutes, you want the best movie ever.
Yeah, I do.
Maybe we need to all think a bit more like that about our lives.
I want it to count. I want them to be full of my children and amazing memories we've got together. Apparently, and it makes sense to me, in 3 generations after you go, that's it. You're gone.
But there seems to be a lot of fear under this.
No,
are you frightened?
It's the opposite.
I could be wrong.
No, it's the opposite. It's not fear.
It's not fear.
It's the opposite. It's actually, I want to enjoy everything I can. If it's there in front of me, why would I not want to take it?
You have a voracious appetite.
100%.
You're starving all the time.
All the time.
Right, well, so am I. So I'm going to go and have a lie down. I'm going to have a big bun. And Myleene, you can go and learn a language. Welcome back. We're having a good time, aren't we? Myleene has actually learnt Russian in that time that we had a little break.
See, now you're putting that expectation on me. Now I'm going to have to not disappoint you. Now, if you're enjoying it as much as we clearly are, make sure you like and subscribe. You can join us for free. You apparently can rate us as well. Only rate us if you've got something nice to say, please.
So, I had a very, very strange experience last week. I went into this thing not knowing what it was at all, and it was something called the Rosen method, and it's a kind of, I don't want to say massage, but it's body work where they almost hardly seem to touch you, right? And it can release buried trauma, emotions, all sorts of things. Well, I went into this, well, God knows. But I went into this thinking, I wonder what will happen here. You know, I've had lots of traumatic things happen in my life, like so many people have, but I feel very much healed in all of them. One of which is the miscarriages that I had. And I've always said, and I know this isn't the same for everybody that's had a miscarriage, but when Kiki was born, my youngest, that's so much I wasn't expecting. So when my youngest was born, I was just like, I felt instantly healed of my miscarriages. It's not the same for all people. And it was so strange. It felt to me like just the same soul had been trying to come through, and then she came through. Right, so I never get upset when I talk about my miscarriages. I feel very healed. Anyway, so she started this thing, whatever it was she was doing, and she put her hand and just pressed it on the back of my thigh, and I just went like this. And she said, "Okay, just stay with that. What is it?" I started to sob, and she went, "Say what it is. Say what it is." Anyway, I said, "It's my last miscarriage, which I'd had at home, that I'd delivered, that my husband had been there." My husband was like sobbing, and I was just like, I just couldn't stop crying. And I was just like, I didn't know I felt this. I didn't know that I had this still in me. And then I was thinking of you. You came into my thoughts, and I just thought of the many times that I've heard you speak about miscarriage, or I've heard you're campaigning, the amazing things you've achieved, MBE, slapping about politicians, metaphorically speaking. And I just thought, where is her trauma stored in her? I just wanted to share that with you, because it just came to me like that. I was in this freezing cold room in my room, shaking and crying, and you just came to me, and it was just, honestly, it was the strangest thing. How we hold it, even because I wouldn't, the way that I have felt about my miscarriages, I don't see the same for you. You're very much with the grief. I honestly said, I don't feel grief anymore. I feel healed. But of course I'm not at all. It was just there. But I haven't cried. I haven't talked, about it for so long. So
You know what they say?
What?
Body holds the score.
Yeah.
So you might say one thing, but your body keeps count.
Well, I think this is what this method is, which I'm just discovering. And there were so many things that came up for me. And then right at the end, I said to her, I almost feel guilty that I've cried. And she was so wonderful. I said, because I am healed. She said, that's okay. It doesn't mean that it's not still in there, the grief.
Yeah.
But you really put I feel like you have put your grief to such good use, if you like. If that sounds wrong, forgive me, but you've achieved so much.
It doesn't sound wrong at all. Honestly, I think it's that line that I've said before, but I've had to turn my pain into power. So people deal with grief in different ways, and I find that for me to be proactive, it's a much better way that I feel like I'm doing something with it.
Do you think you're holding off the grief?
Maybe I'm a therapist's dream, but
Well, a human dream, I think. I mean, I remember, I know that when I've lost people and we've been in a situation of funerals and stuff, that energy and that power keeps away the pain for a bit, you know.
No, I think I'm very much in that pain. I've done my fair share of howling at the moon. You know, God, the amount of times I used to wear the biggest. I look like Nana Muscuri. I had these massive glasses on all the time, driving the kids to school, and would be singing these songs, and the tears would just be rolling down my face, and I'd just be driving them to school. Because
did you have a time when you couldn't cry? Because I know a lot of people when they lose a baby, lose anyone, but the grief doesn't come. Like in my father's Arabic, as you know, and the wailers are brought in on day one. They pay people to come in and cry. Pay to cry so that you can get everybody crying, because they have to bury people very quickly there because of the heat. So you've got to be crying. You've got to get it done.
Is that why they bring them in?
Yes, because you've got to bury them that day. And if and so when I've lost people, it's often taken a long time before I can feel it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did it take you a long time to feel it, or were you grief-stricken straight away?
It was instantaneous for me, because I was just so in it all the time. And I think what you can't be when you've got young children, because I was pregnant and losing babies for 4 years. So one thing you can't do with children is you can't hold them off ever. They're in the moment, they're in the now, and everything's immediate. And so it just felt like everything was just happening all at once.
I don't know if you get a lot of people asking you this, but I know I certainly do. How does one talk to one's partner around miscarriage? And I was really blessed that Mark was very open and very able to talk about it and very supportive. But I think a lot of men are just scared of that feeling, aren't they? And scared of saying the wrong thing. How did you and Sim deal with that?
My partner Sim, he does get scared of saying the wrong thing, for sure. And then I'll get frustrated because he'll then say nothing.
Yes.
Which is even worse than saying the wrong thing, marginally. Yeah. But saying that, I thought he was really brave around the time of our miscarriages. I thought he was really brave. We made a documentary together, and my children took part in it because they were expecting a sibling. And Sim, he represented the voice of the men that don't often get heard, or they're sort of forgotten because, you know, the attention is on the woman. And at the same time, they would like to have, you know, their contribution, their loss. They'd like to talk about how they're feeling. And it had a really, you know, it was really brave of him to do that, but it had a really powerful impact on so many men who came forward and said something similar to you. I didn't realise I was holding so much in. I was trying to be strong for her. And it's almost like a dance of love. You dance around the subject.
And sometimes
to protect each other.
You don't want them to do it. Like you could be moving the goalposts all over the place. So I want you to talk, or I don't want you to talk. Now you're not talking.
Well, for sure, because in a minute you're going to need them again, because you're going to want to get pregnant, and it's really you sort of flip flop between being this broken husk of a woman and then having to think, well, now I'm going to have to just get my underwear back on and try and then be this seductress. So I've got another chance at this. So
it does get better. It does, because it's just grief, you know, like any other advice that you see about dealing with grief, it's the same. And Mark and I also did a podcast where we talked about it. We sort of put it out and didn't expect much. So many people, even now years later, say, oh, that was so helpful because I didn't know how to start the conversation.
Yes.
Because I think it's so perfect what you just said. He didn't say anything because he thought he would say the wrong thing. And if there's a woman listening now and you're feeling like your partner doesn't care or doesn't, it may just be that he cares so much that he doesn't want to say the wrong thing. And sometimes I think by reaching out and just writing a note, I always say to people, maybe write a note. Because
oh my God, you just brought back a memory.
Really?
Chocolate strawberries. Every time I
you?
miscarriage, I'd get another box of chocolate strawberries, and for a while I couldn't eat them.
Who gave you chocolate strawberries?
He did, because they were my favourite.
Oh, I see.
But then the association of just I'd have to sit through and eat these really luxurious, delicious chocolate strawberries that just tasted of just...
Oh, and yet you see, he would have been doing that with such love.
Yes.
But if that were me, I don't know about you, I would start thinking, why can't you feel what I'm feeling? And this feels luxurious, and this feels, So I think it often happens in grief with two people is that you actually really can separate.
Well, you're going through different experiences at different times. Because I remember driving the car and just... God knows what happened. I think I just banged into the curb, and he was like, there's nobody else here. What are you trying to manoeuvre around? And I was trying to explain that I'm just so sad.
Yeah.
I'm just not in it. I just don't know where I'm at right now. Or I just opened the fridge. I remember opening the fridge and just standing there crying, and then you catch yourself. And now I realise that was grief.
Do you know what I often feel sometimes when I see women dealing with grief? I have this thing in my head and I say, she hasn't landed yet. And I can see when someone's landed and when they haven't. And that feeling of just almost levitating around, and then you get back down, just to really land takes a long time.
But it's not just men. I remember my girlfriend who had a 6-month-old baby, and I get where she's at now. But she put the baby in my arms. And I just froze. And her thinking was, look at this beautiful baby. I love this baby so much. It's gonna comfort you. I know it. And in my arm, the feeling in my arms was just...
This is what I haven't got.
I haven't got it. And I knew this wasn't my baby. I didn't hold this against her. I just couldn't hold the baby. And I remember him coming along and he just saw what was going on. Actually, that's where he did actually pick up on the signals and just took the baby.
But it's hard to advise people, isn't it? Is when do you say the right thing? When do you talk? Because everybody is so different.
Yeah.
Some people want to talk about it all the time. And I know that I got sad at points when it felt like nobody wanted to talk about it, but then they were picking up that maybe I didn't want to talk about it. It's so hard, isn't it? How soon were you... Because I do see you as a powerhouse of doing things around your grief. Did you go straight into doing things? And because you're trying to make everything better for other women and for... Was that...
No, that came after. I couldn't.
Yeah.
What does it they say? You can't teach someone how to swim when they're drowning. That was not the time for me to campaign. Because
and it's interesting because you said something around this on the show where you were saying, I didn't start off political, but political is about people, everyone is if you've got any opinions on anything, it's political, isn't it? And I'm the same. Like once I started fighting for one thing, there were so many other things I wanted to start fighting.
Politics was green benches and people shouting at each other with different coloured suits on. That's what we grew up with, and it just felt so detached from my world. And then I realised, hang on, it's the schooling system. It's why women are more likely to die in a crash because no one's bothered to test the right size dummies for seatbelts. And
all this came out of
just looking at the world in a different way. Just why is the world this shape? I've been with the charities that I work with, and I've been to disaster zones. I've seen the worst of humanity, and I mean the worst, right through to the very best.
Yeah.
So you see the people who are helping, and they're just exceptional. They really are.
It goes back to what we were talking about earlier, doesn't it? Like if you're prepared to be vulnerable and prepared to be hurt, you can also prepare to be loved and to love. And
that's right.
I think it's kind of the same when one becomes more of an activist.
Yeah.
Like you say, you can see the very worst.
But it's made my fuse very short, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I live in...
I think the fact that you don't sleep enough doesn't help your fuse. You need to get better sleep for Mrs.
I
4
will tell my
hours a day.
kids.
Who do you think you are, Margaret Thatcher?
Not hardly. No, I don't feel very iron. I feel very putty. Tell my kids they just work a rotation. It's like they're just passing the baton around just to keep me up. But I love them for that as well.
Yeah.
That's what makes you.
Do you think that lack of that impatience or short fuse or whatever? The short fuse is just you are impatient to make things better.
It's not a short fuse of anger.
No.
It's a short fuse of, hang on, look, at the moment I'm dealing with politicians who it is in their power, and I know it is in their power, to change a system that we're suffering for.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where this is bigger than me now. So maybe if I was fighting for myself, I wouldn't have been that effective. But I got what I wanted. I've got to hold my son.
Yeah.
So actually I'm not fighting for me anymore. I'm fighting for him. And for my
Yeah.
daughters, and for your daughters,
Yeah.
and for my auntie that didn't get a chance to speak. I'm fighting for those who haven't got a voice and those
Yeah.
who never got heard.
Yeah.
And that gives you a much better standpoint, I think, because
I think it validates how bad it felt for you as well.
it was horrific. It was the worst,
horrific.
absolute worst. Yeah.
One thing I feel really, really strongly about is that I really hate, because I believe this would have been passed down by men, the patriarchy, hundreds of years ago, that we don't tell people when we're pregnant.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from the fact that we were just breeding machines, and if you lost a baby, it was sort of shameful. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of people, when they lose a baby, when they miscarry, because the people haven't shared in the initial joy, they can't share in the grief kind of thing, because it's like, oh, you were pregnant, well, now you're not pregnant. And
We've become victims of our own strength, for sure. And I think what's happened is we pass that on our grandmothers, our ancestors.
Superstition.
Well,
if you tell anyone you're going to lose the baby.
My mother, she kept hers a secret for X amount of times, and she just got on with it. There's a lot of this. Even the idea of the one-upmanship. I remember when I was pregnant and the cabbie just turned around to me going, well, my wife lost 8 pints of blood and she's fine. And I'm just sitting in the back of the cab thinking, how's this a story? And how is this your story? Is she okay?
Yeah, how do you know she's okay?
But what I just think is amazing is, if you want to go back a few hundred years, it's not that far. Women died in childbirth or in pregnancy because doctors didn't wash their hands.
Yeah.
It was something so simple as that, basic hygiene. And now we turn our noses up at that. Well, that was back then. Well, look at what's going on right now. There's some people who still wouldn't take penicillin because they don't think it's right. Well, hang on. We're at a point right now where we have the answers. We have them. And we're still choosing. And the word is choosing not to put them into action. And I would ask, and I do ask our politicians, because I've got to the point now, and people say, well, why have you taken this on board? Well, you don't need to do it. And they're quite right. I don't have to keep on ripping this plaster off all the time and having my children watching me doing this all the time, and the time it takes and the space it takes. Why do you keep on doing it? And I think it's because it's got to the point where I've learnt the system so well. And once you've learned it and you are in a position where you've got a platform and you can facilitate that platform in a really positive way, I have a duty to use it.
And you know what? It feels good.
Yeah, I don't need to get the best restaurant in the best table in the restaurant. Yeah. I can actually change legislation.
Yeah. And that solidarity, when women pull together, there's something incredibly strong about that. I mean, I've certainly discovered that through things that I've done with women with breast cancer. It's like, this actually, yes, it's for this reason, but it actually feels really good to pull together with other women. We can believe we can change. And I'm going to change my drink because I'm on water and you're on cappuccinos.
Join me.
We're back and goody, because it's time for our loose ends. Now, this is where we get to ask a question, maybe that we've always wanted to ask or that we think might be a bit fun to ask. So, do you want to go first?
Okay.
Go on then.
So, the thing I like about you is you wear your heart on your sleeve. I actually think you're a really loyal friend as well. So you go all out and you read people really well. I'd say that's probably like one of your super talents. So what's annoying about you?
Everything else.
What's your annoying habit? What would Mark say?
I think my annoying habit is, and this is tied in with my ADHD as well, I cannot close a cupboard. I find it very difficult to listen right to the end of somebody's sentence. I'm filling in a story Like when they're talking to me, I'm trying to get to the end of the story but actually that is because I'm really excited about what the person's saying. I'm unbelievably messy. I can go off the hook like you've never seen, smash things up, kick in doors. So yeah. Well, not really kick them in, but I can kick a door quite hard.
Can you?
Yes.
That's the EastEnders in you.
I have a temper that is there as deregulation sometimes that I'm much better at now. I think another thing is that I can be a bit of a people pleaser.
Really?
Yeah. So what's your annoying habit?
Oh, God. I mean, I have a lot of icks.
How interesting. That was one of the things I wanted to ask you was about icks. What's your icks? What's your icks?
I've got so many icks.
Oh, okay, go on.
I think I don't like seeing men's feet out on the tube. I don't like it when grown men call their mums mummy.
Oh, don't tell me you've slept with someone that says mummy.
That would be
it's quite a strange ick, because usually when we're talking about icks, it's something we've experienced.
I just hear it. I don't know why I hear it so much. People walking on their phone when they're on the street.
Yeah.
That drives me mad, because then they set the pace. And I'm rushing.
So if you say that's a bad habit, is it because you feel you're too judgmental? Too particular?
Do you know, I didn't think I was judgmental, because actually I think in my old age, and especially since becoming a mum, I think I've really chilled. But I get very impatient, because I always think I can do things quicker. But quicker doesn't mean better.
No. Well, I say slowly is the fastest way to get there. That's what they say, isn't it?
I feel like your dad would say that.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was somebody, I don't know, it was like Muhammad Ali or something.
Oh, okay.
Don't, because you're going to get me on. For years and years,
I like what your dad says.
My absolute tagline was, those that mind don't matter, those that matter don't mind. And I used to say, as Gandhi said. And it wasn't Gandhi, it was Dr. Seuss. You knew!
I love Dr. Seuss. I'm obsessed with Dr. Seuss.
And
my favourite book in the world
was Green Eggs and Ham.
No, the places you'll go.
Oh, right.
Green Eggs and Ham.
I have wasted too much time in my life tracking back over all the people I quoted Gandhi, and it was Dr. Seuss that never told me. But anyway, okay, so mine's just a fun question, really. Can you remember your first kiss, the very first proper kiss?
Okay, so I would have said it was Antonio.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where did you find him?
In Great Yarmouth.
I was going to say, this isn't why you revisited Venice earlier.
Oh, if the world can find me, Antonio, I'd love to know.
Where were you when you kissed?
In the playground.
My first kiss was at Dulwich College disco, and once, twice, 3 times a lady was playing. And it was a beautiful summer's night, and oh my God, can you believe that he went in on the twice and kissed me? And I didn't breathe, and I actually thought I was going to die, because
you held your breath the whole time.
I'd practiced loads with the mirror with my tongue, but I had never tried. I'd never done the breathing through the nose.
It's like that.
And I was obsessed, and I gave him my number, and he never ever called me. He never called me. My first kiss broke my heart.
Yeah, I have a similar pattern.
We're going to have to break these lovely listeners' hearts now, aren't we? Because we've come to the end.
Thank you.
I've loved it.
Honestly.
Let's do it again, over a pint.
Yes!
You can take me to Venice next time.
Take you to Venice.
We can gondola it. Good news, 2 more Loose Women are back on Friday.
That's right. So if you have got a question that you'd like to ask them, make sure you send it to loose.women@itvx.com. Until then,
Stay loose.